Larry Flynt, The Right to be Left Alone, is a new documentary which chronicles the life and times of free speech warrior Larry Flynt. The doc premieres only on IFC Thursday, August 7th at 9 p.m.
I am an American. This is my land as well as it belongs to the prosecutors and the judges. I have my rights as well, and I am proud of this American heritage and the principles that it embodies. And I'm proud to be a part of this fight for freedom. And anyone who would ask me to lay these principles aside, I say to them, in the language that I know best, 2 words: shove it.
Larry Flynt, The Right to be Left Alone, directed by Joan Brooker Marks, details Flynt's life not only as the entrepreneur behind Hustler magazine and Larry Flynt Enterprises, but also as a tireless defender of the First Amendment.
Since I've been dragged through most of the courts, in prison, shot, paralyzed, defending the First Amendment, I figured I could give you a view from the trenches.
IFC News caught up with Flynt in his office in Los Angeles to discuss his favorite topic, free speech.
I'm sure every one of you are just as proud of being an American as I am. We're the strongest country in the world today, only because we are the freest country in the world today.
They made a mainstream movie about me called The People versus Larry Flynt back in '98. The filmmakers felt that there were a lot of things that, were left out, political views or something. Not to the detriment of the film, but it's just when Hollywood is focusing on doing a biopic, they tend to concentrate on the most outrageous part of your life, in order to make it commercially viable. I was involved in the fight for free expression long before it was cool, I guess you could say. But I was always surprised about how many people that tend to take their basic freedoms, such as free speech, for granted.
While few mainstream news organizations support Larry Flynt's apparent desire to be offensive, many, including the 3 major television networks, have filed papers with the court supporting his legal position in this case, fearing a ruling in Falwell's favor might undermine those journalists whose jobs depend on the effective use of satire.
It's magazines like Hustler that need protection of the First Amendment, not the Washington Post. We offend a lot more people than the Washington Post do.
If you go around and take a poll, 98% of the people say they believe in free speech. You go back to them and ask them, say, well, what about flag burning? What about pornography? What about hate speech? I say, oh, I didn't realize you were talking about all that stuff, I thought you were talking about just normal free speech,
Larry Flynt, founder of the sex magazine Hustler, was critically wounded today during a recess in his obscenity trial in Lawrenceville,
Flynt and his local lawyer, Gene Reeves, on the way back to court. Flynt was shot through the stomach. Reeves in the arm and stomach.
Flynt is still reported in critical condition.
I gave up my legs for it, so that's a big leap right there. But I probably contributed more as a result of that, because I figured, I've been in prison, shot, paralyzed. What else are they going to do to me? Kill me? So I decided to just devote, the rest of my life in an attempt to expand the parameters of free speech.
To this day, Flynt has stayed consistently vocal about the state of affairs in America.
I can't believe in my wildest dreams that we elected such an idiot as our president.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are we rolling tape on that?
Here goes. You got a brush? Yes. Just a 1-finger victory salute.
The American people, they got what they deserved. Government has gotten so screwed up, in recent decades, that it's almost impossible for it to function.
Here it is, the $1 million offer if you have had an adulterous affair, sexual encounter with a current member of the United States Congress or a high-ranking government official. First question, Mr. Flynt, why, Larry, why?
My whole objective from this in the beginning, from running the ad in the Washington Post, was an attempt to expose the hypocrisy in Washington, in that if these people on the Hill are going to sit in judgment on the president, they shouldn't have any skeletons in their own closet. See, we as a nation only respond to something once it becomes a crisis. That's why we have the current, energy shortage and the war raging in the Middle East, because people don't respond, until it actually becomes a crisis. And that's where the apathy comes in. It's like the same reason why people won't vote. They don't vote because they don't think it'll make a difference. If people are willing to send their kids over there to fight and die, they deserve the right to have a free press to monitor the war.
The press would show up. The government would lodge them at some army base and basically spoon-feed them the government's view of the war. And Larry said, this is wrong. We should have a First Amendment right to go on the battlefield and cover the war the way it is and tell the truth.
I wish I had more of a heroic attitude towards myself, but I often think about, these boys in Iraq and Afghanistan, and take one who's dead and his face is in the dust, and you lift him up by the hair of the head and ask him if he had had his life to live over, would he still give it for his country? I don't know how many would fall in line for that.
Flynt has spent a lifetime fighting for freedom of speech with little acknowledgement, until now.
I hope that I'll be remembered as someone who fought to expand the parameters of free speech. And that's been a huge endeavor, and if something is recognized, then I'll take it, because I have, contributed most of my adult life to it.
It's really almost beyond incredible that we've reached the point where a porno publisher is driving American politics.
I think history will treat me much better than I'm being treated in present day. And I'm still not politically correct, but that never bothered me, because I always relished the fact that I was marching to my own drummer. If I have any legacy at all to leave, I'd like for it to be that I fought to expand the parameters of free speech.
Watch the premiere of Larry Flynt, The Right to be Left Alone, Thursday, August 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on IFC.